Ralph is going to describe his key project that resulted in this anti-war, anti-torture piece of artwork. So.
Yeah, this triptych has been created 4 years ago, and the idea came by mere coincidence. What you see here is a replica of the actual prison cell key used at the prison at Guantanamo Bay.
Wow.
And what happened is, my manufacturer accidentally made it half the size. So I ended up with 500 of these thingies and not knowing what to do with it. Okay. So I met with Asante and we kind of just were thinking out loud about a couple of things. And thought, well, let's do something with it that actually makes sense and that discusses what's going on at Guantanamo in particular, and also about imprisonment, freedom, what it means, how to get there via these keys. So we had the idea of creating this triptych. It's called Liberation. Panel number 1, you see that keyhole, so kind of with the idea there's a prisoner looking through that keyhole out on the sea, longing for freedom and thinking about what he could do with his life other than being locked up. So, very simple thing. Panel 2 is, by whatever force, this wall starts crumbling. And you see that eye being alert. And panel number 3 is like Phoenix from the ashes, the walls up, gone, and breaking free.
And the keys once locked everything became the way to freedom. They're all the feathers on the bird.
Mm-hmm. And those inscriptions that you see, each panel carries 2 inscriptions from just smarter people than I am. So for example, that's why I put it on here from Dalai Lama, an eye for an eye, we are all blind. I'm sure you have heard this before. And see through everything and be free, from Lama HEDDA'S. And there are 4 more, including Anne Frank, and so we're just to pick people from the entire globe, actually, to give it that universal feel.
And then their words are written in their original language and then translated down here.
Wow, that's great.
So it's really supposed to discuss the entire idea of being free, not just in the sense of being locked up by a government, but also, I mean, you can be locked up by yourself, you know.
In your mind.
Yes, exactly. I mean, you can be totally stuck and imprisoned in dogma and all these things. So you really need to find that key for yourself too. That's also a personal thing. It's not just criticizing government and war and thing. It's also about trying to criticize yourself. I mean, what are you doing with your life? I mean, why are you stuck in things, you know?
Yeah, and things itself have tendencies in prison. People's acquisitions kind of become their own tyranny and imprison what they can do. So we ended up with a lot of different thoughts on it. They're all kind of written down there. What is freedom? What is imprisonment?
Mm-hmm.
And what is the view, Asante, right behind you in that piece?
You mean this piece here?
This one, yeah.
Well, that's kind of a very dystopian look at the industrial world. So that's what it is. It's called the browning of the green. I mean, you can make your own interpretation of that.
The browning of the green.
Yes. Kind of destruction of the environment. Also part of, well, it's called make art, not war. When we came up with that idea, or Sandy came up with that idea for the name, I thought, okay, war. What is it? It's not just, I have a broad interpretation of that. It's just not war being hot war with weapons. It's also the Cold War, and from war with weapons to war with words. It's government against government. It's government against people. It's people against people. It's corporations against people, and so on and so forth. So it's really, war has a very broad meaning to me.
Yes, conflict. And capitalism uses conflict as an operating system. That's how they suss out who wins and who loses. And unfortunately, this has been adapted by contemporary civilization as some modality that they operate by.
Yeah, and you have a very good example. Yeah, cities are war.
Yeah. So cities are war is a quote from a French philosopher, Paul Virilio. And I read that one sentence in one of his books, and just like, it hit me right over the head. It's like, wow, really? Cities pile in people, they demand resources from the outside, and then they go after the outside, whatever's out there, to get what they need, and it creates conflict of its own. So we need to be aware of conflict as an operating system, and war is like conflict, and we don't need to have conflict. We need to have cooperation. That's how human beings became successful, from cooperating together, not having war. That's just. In fact, there's a new anthropology considers the fact that most ancient peoples were indeed not violent at all, and it's limited situations where they find skulls cracked open and that kind of thing, and a lot of the older skeletons they find, people have very good teeth and they're 80 years old. And so our ancestors lived a long, peaceful life for the most part, and that war was much less prevalent than a lot of the anthropology that comes up and is protected by capitalism tries to teach us.
Yeah, the idea of hegemony was totally strange to them. That came up just a few hundred years ago.
Right. I mean, how do you have hegemony in a tribe of 100 people? You go, okay, Fred, you be the chief. And the chief goes and he gets a bigger tent and he takes all this stuff and hides it in the back. That ain't gonna happen. I mean, dude, you're out, and Max, you go in and be president.
Right.
I mean, really, it's practical.
Yeah.
Everybody's in the vision of everybody else, so the decisions are made by everyone, not just some people up in a building out in D.C.,
I think there's an optimum number of people that can get along together. I'm not sure what it is, but I've read some things about that, and it's not a very large number. I lived on a commune for 5 years, and we were always fighting. So people got along better when I think there were less than 40 of us. But as soon as it got up to 100 and above, there was always conflict, because there were always people that saw things a different way.
Right.
And it was about, when I think of it now, it's about stupid stuff, like whether people should be allowed to eat meat, or whether they should wear the same pair of pants and pass them around, or have their own clothes, or stuff like that.
Right. Well, I think we have a long way to go.
Yes,
and
as humans, for sure.
I'm optimistic that human beings, with the technology we have, can find a way to get on the same page and self-govern through direct democracy methods, not representatives, and actually dictate policy for employees to implement. That's my hopeful thing to the
It's very
future.
optimistic.
There's ways to do that. I was in Occupy Oakland, and we did democratic things with 90% consensus vote, with as many as a couple of thousand people in there. And then it dwindled down, of course, later on to maybe 50 and then less than that. But it all worked the entire way. And it was just an amazing thing to experience. It changed my life. Mm-hmm. And it just made me more optimistic. Boy, people can actually sit in the same space and agree on something, 90%. It just ferrets out the extreme things that people can't get along with. Good, get rid of them, there are plenty that we can we want together, like no wars, like ending these military and the expense we spend. We were spending almost $1 trillion for the military and its operations, the State Department. And we're producing war all over the world for capitalist geopolitical gain. And I don't want it. I would vote instantly to reduce the Defense Department to, or the military apparatus to like 5 or 10% of what it is now. And we could pull all the bases, 800 bases, foreign bases exist in the world. Pull them all home, let people govern themselves over there. And you want to negotiate with other countries, get together in a room with everybody else knowing what's going on and make negotiations. I think it's possible. But we're going to have to do a lot of work in an individual, assiduous evaluation to realize that we can do that. Work part-time and be a citizen part-time. Working 60 hours a week is just not going to.
I just read a book. It was very timely too, because after the election, of course, everybody felt really blown. It's called Monarchia. It's a fairly new book written by a man who lives in Hawaii, and it's fiction, but it's based on the truth of how the Native Hawaiians all got together and defeated the big powers that be to create the biggest telescope ever. And they ended up defeating this whole thing by exactly what you said, by several thousand people who marched together over and over and laid down in the road and practiced all their spiritual beliefs. That was the key part of it too, to really do a lot of what the Dalai Lama says, have peace in your heart before you can see peace outside.
Yeah, what you say is also what Sandy says. I mean, there needs to be an underlying common goal, otherwise this just doesn't happen.
Yeah, like you said, a lot of the U.S. democracy was initially kind of copied off of the Iroquois or Haudenosaunee were doing, but they did it differently. They had a council of grandmothers because they were considered connected beyond the generations with the generations yet to come, and have that high in the conscience. They would pick different chiefs, and if a chief got too big for his britches and started doing corrupt things, they'd pull them and put another one in his place. So it was very different than the current version we have, right? Where the one with the most money seems to always win. The other thing too, at WTO, when we did that, that was consensus in the streets. We were creating blockades of all these people who didn't know each other, thousands of people. And we'd do consensus, we'd go down, up and down the line, communicate what people were saying, take words people would then set what they wanted to do in that particular blockade. And so we won the whole day, shut them down for that day. And it was good to see that can happen. We can make that democracy, even in tense situations.
Right. You see successes like that, and then you know it's possible. It just requires everybody to buy in and give it a shot,
Yeah, when it comes to this show being called Make Art Not War, I mean, why did we call it this way? We use art just to kind of create awareness about issues and trying to start thinking processes. That's the best I can do at this point, really.
Did you three choose this month for this show? Because
Well, very intentional because it was the election month.
Yeah. So it was perfect timing,
it was.
This election is like.
It's perfect.
I reserved the room already last year to make sure nobody else gets it.
And I think it's even more important because of what we've seen going on just in the last few days. I put out a statement to 4 of my friends. And these 4 friends each come from different decades in my life. The oldest one going back considerably. We're all on the West Coast. And all I said was, and they don't know each other. These are 4 different me. 4 different me, really. And, I mean, although I was always the same, but, you all have many selves. And all I said was, you can't write a movie script any better than this. And what's going on in the last 4 days with all the announcements that we're bombarded with. And I know you know what I'm talking about. You just can't make this stuff. It's so amazing. And so I was sitting here thinking, boy, this is really a good plan to put this together.
This is what people need to be thinking about, I mean, it's nice to have beauty and be joyous about everything, but you gotta realize what the problems are so that you know what to deal with.
And it's always with us.
It is, it's all the time.
Always
It's just like people,
underline everything.
people are in such denial, you know, they assume that the government's gonna take care of them like the big adults, and that they just can live the way they live and not have an involvement, and it's not working, you know. I mean, we got a lot of things that we're doing that's really terrible to people. We don't need to have a world like that. It's just don't, you know, it makes me miserable, you know, to a good degree. And I don't want to feel that anymore. I want to have a world where everyone is vested and gets something out of it. And, you know, part of it, they're not part of it. Everybody's just like, they're in the front of the room telling you what to do, and you're sitting there listening. And it's like,
Yeah, you're just telling you what to do. I mean, that brings back memories to these COVID days when, I mean, the entire population was told what to do, and much to my consternation, people really obeyed. So, not sure how that
4
happened.
billion people, half the earth.
Yeah. Now you're discussing a little bit of this with your
yeah.
Monopoly Man
That-
piece.
The Monopoly Man represents the 1% to me, and people who accumulate excess wealth and turn it into more excess wealth just for the principle of doing it. And they're destroying the world. As you know, they're left in control. We allow them to make decisions for us. We should not be doing that. I mean, that's something we can terminate immediately with just everybody going, no more of this. We need to be in control of policy, not you. And that's just, so that's why, in that particular picture, I wanted as many problems in one picture as possible. It's just so it's like all there, you know? If you wanted to think about all the problems that we do have, it's like, I mean, I know there's many more that are there, but I just wanted as many packed in as possible. So you get the feeling of what you're surrounded with this just almost incomprehensible chaos.
Remake it 4 times as big. You can fit it.
Yes, right, I know. And then this painting, I wanted to use what a former instructor of mine said was the best painting of the 20th century. And that's Matisse's dance. And so I did an interpretation of that as, if we're free to be free and to love life, this is what we would do. And on the outside is the military and the crap that we've appropriated as a frame. And then on that frame is graffiti marking up what should be done. So I really have a feeling for graffiti go as a social statement against the existing system. And a lot of people don't like it, and sometimes, most of the time it's not political, but it can be very political, and it is social. The crossing out is very important. You'll see these cross-outs. You'll see those on freeway entry signs, you know, they'll spray over it like this, just no letters or word or anything, just strike out, you know. And I think that's important, you know, to say no. So that's why I brought that together.
Which is called Gaza, for obvious reasons. Yeah. Why I did this, or how I did this, I mean, that's a plate, ceramic plate, that I broke one morning. And coincidentally, I did read the same morning about the famine in Gaza, so that sparked the idea of creating this piece here. Again, very simple thing, but that's why we called it Make Art Not War. Just, I mean, when something crosses your mind, create some art and try to spark ideas and thoughts and criticism and all that.
Wow, it's so sad.
It is sad, yes.
It's very cleverly done with the Jewish star around the Gaza.
They're kind of little disguised, yeah,
Yeah.
in the background. What's interesting is I sent a photo of it to my brother, and he called me right away. I had to cry because I had my newborn grandchild in my arms.
Oh.
Wow, that was intense.
That is
I'm
one of
showing Mickey Mouse.
my train graffiti series. So I'm kind of pulling in graffiti, and I have a little. I add things. What I do is I take photographs of train graffiti, and I seam them together and make large cars. And I already made compositions, and this one is a composition. And then I add my own graffiti. So I added the Mickey Mouse character, and this guy, of course, and punched a hole in the wall. And inside is the back room inside the closed car. Then here I wrote, "Capitalism equals warfare." So in that sense, it kind of ties that together with the show, and just being free and making art. I mean, a lot of people really appreciate train graffiti, and it's on buildings they hate it, but on trains they love it. You know, it comes to the stop. They're sitting in a train stop, and the trains go by, and they're staring at the graffiti, and get to be up close and see how cool some of it is. And so that's what this is all about. That's why I included
That's
that.
very complex.
When I lived in Seattle, we had a whole group of us, we called ourselves the Urban Guerrillas. We'd go out at night and alter the billboards and all over town and do big murals on the side of like Fred Meyer's in town.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and save the Slave. Yeah, we did big murals on those. We got caught finally. We had one most of the time.
You have to be really fast because, you know, you don't have that much of a window of opportunity.
What was kind of neat sometimes, like one time we're doing this one near a cafe, and all these people came out of the cafe. We had a crowd around us all watching, and when we were done, we just kind of took a bow. Somebody said, "Yeah, the cops are on the way." I said, "Okay," and we split. They all applauded.
What would you do with the billboards?
Uh,
How would you change them? Would you
We
change
changed
the
how to
price?
deal with the different situations, whether it was toxic food they were selling or political stuff or war type stuff. And around then, that was when El Salvador and the whole U.S. Contra thing was going on in the 80s. So there were like lots of issues to opinions about.
Oh, yeah. It was a busy time.
Yep.
Unfortunately, there's always lots of
Yep.
things.
How did you get up on the platforms? Just climbed it?
We climbed.
Oh, yeah.
They weren't, yeah.
They have steps or something? that-
Some of them have a little ladder part where you can
Oh.
jump up and then swing.
Okay.
Um,
Some of these guys get in places I just can't.
uh-huh.
I can't believe this. Under parapets, you
Yeah,
know?
those were the years we just jumped back down to, and, you know,
Oh, really?
yeah.
Did you guys use ropes? Tie off and belay and stuff like that to get up?
We didn't on that, too much gear to carry, like
Oh, yeah.
less was more, because you had to run with it, and you don't want to leave things behind.
How about the little sunglasses?
It's called Society of the Spectacle.
Oh, the spectacle of society?
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you read the book?
No.
It's a book.
It's a
by-
book?
It's a book,
Oh, it is a
actually.
book?
The Situationists in
Oh.
France. They were the philosophers that really kind of were a driving force behind the riots in
Oh, okay.
rebellion in Paris,
Yeah.
in France.
Is that the theater of the spectacle book? Or is
It's
that
called
different?
the Society of the Spectacle.
Okay, there's another one called the
It's
Theater
a
of the
little,
Spectacle.
little tiny thing like that, with the most profound, like, statements, just one after another. It just so much captures.
Yeah, in a nutshell, this is about how we get manipulated and blinded by both social media, advertising, government, etc., etc. That's what I had in mind when I created this. It's just 3 elements in there. It's an old computer screen, sunglasses, and well, a rubber cord. That's it. And the piece to the right side of it with that pink color sunglasses, it's called The Debate.
Oh, the two heads.
With the 2 heads, yes.
Don't meet. They're not
Exactly.
talking to each other.
Yeah, they're supposed to talk to each other, but they're talking against
Yeah.
each other. And people not seeing it, being just manipulated with a pink color glasses on. Everything is happy and fine.
Rose-colored glasses. glasses.
Yeah, rose-colored glasses.
And the other piece to the right of it, sorry, I don't mean to
No,
too much attention on me here. It's one that nobody really understood so far. Maybe it's just too much in it, or not enough in it. Either way, it's an anti-war piece actually. What you see there is a military telephone that is used as a field telephone, you know. This piece is called dropped call. So the idea is, well, what happens if the soldier just drops the call and stops fighting? So that's the idea behind the piece.
Okay.
And this piece right over here with the phone, what is its title?
I forgot.
With the shoe?
I mean, 'cause it kind of looks like it's kind of like.
Yeah, I did it at the same time. It's a similar thing, really. Yeah. Call it dropped call too.
Yes,
To the
like.
tag. Yeah, the tag.
Somebody took it. I have no idea. Me falling down there.
And
Yeah,
this,
the Society of the Spectacle, it's like this, the spectacle is like, if you look at the film The Matrix, the reality, the existing reality is the spectacle. And people are seduced into taking themselves out of themselves into this like representation of reality rather than reality. And then so they function in ways in which is purely kind of mechanical towards representation rather than real. So,
Kind of a bread and circuses mentality. Yeah.
That's a whole book, Marshall McLuhan, The Medium is the Massage.
yes, I know that. That one.
You recommended it to me and I bought it.
Oh, you did?
I still have it. I had the other one about World War II.
Gutenberg Galaxy,
Yeah.
and
I got
I
that
can't
too.
remember the name of the other book. There's two books he wrote that are precede situations that really do discuss the nature of representational reality being stronger than just reality. People are kind of into symbols rather than things, real things.
Yeah.
And we get trapped in them. Look at an image and go, oh, okay, that makes things okay. I see an image of, we didn't need to do that. Oh, then we're okay. No, because you keep doing it. You know, the reality is you're not.
Sandy,
Yeah,
that's the 1% guy right there.
yeah.
He looks
Monopoly
like,
Man.
Monopoly Man. He looks like he has empty pockets.
Well, the Monopoly game has various illustrations of Monopoly Man in different, like for different conditions. They give you the little cards that you pull out when you pick up the Monopoly cards. And this one's, oh, I'm broke. So it's like, oh, I can't do anything about it, you know. And the title is "What Me Worry," and you know.
Yeah.
They try to pretend like they're not guilty. They're the creators.
And this guy?
Yeah, lies.
Lies.
Yeah. That's all you get is lies and money and war. Just intolerable. So I was working on RAM board. I found a giant roll of RAM board out and walk in the neighborhoods in Oakland. And stuff's like this high and comes in rolls of 100 feet. And it's really stiff cardboard material that's environmentally sound, and it's archival, and it really takes to liquid really well, so it's really great for painting. It's wonderful material, and it's super cheap. You can just go scarf it off at construction sites. Even you can buy a roll at Home Depot or hardware store for like $30. It's great stuff. It's awesome. So then I started punching holes in the corner and putting grommets so you could pin them up to the wall, no frame, just like low-tech, easy way to distribute art for people that didn't, mind pinning the art up to their wall. which I guess some people find too rinky for them, but I don't know, it's like,
Do you varnish?
huh?
Do you varnish?
No, haven't varnished those, no.
There are a lot of block prints, a lot of block
And
prints.
stencils,
All stencils.
yeah, so I do a lot of stencil.
Spray.
No, I hate sprays.
So you paint through the stencil?
I have used spray. I use it every once in a while, but very rarely. I usually just paint the stencil. That's in France. They call it pochoir,
Bourgeois.
and they do it by hand with these brushes with cut flat tops, and it's just you hit the inside of it and you hit the edge, and it doesn't scoot underneath. It does work pretty well. It does work very well. So it's a quick way to make art. That's what I was trying to do, to make quick, inexpensive art, rebellious art in Oakland. I made those two in Oakland.
Are you implying that we could all be happy, but the military's all around us telling them they're going to protect us? And
Well,
we can't be happy
we're
unless they're
accepting it
protected.
too. So I'm saying they are now putting graffiti and trying to block it out. So it's us canceling it. So that's my hope, is that we cancel it by saying no.
Ralph, can you talk about the shoe? At what point would you consider this art?
Well, exactly, that's the question. Remember that piece that is now at Sotheby's for auction at $1 million? It's kind of a, put on a board, a banana with a tape. So that's why I did this. I think this has more interest than a banana and a tape.
Yeah. I think that's,
I found this shoe in somewhere in my garage. It's probably 15 years old. And okay, don't want to throw it away, so let's do something.
yeah. No, that's beautiful.
That reminds me
It's
of
very sad.
the Afghani who threw his shoe at Bush at a press conference. And they threw him in jail for like 2 or 3 years or something.
Yeah.
And Bush is up there and he goes, oh. I was like,
I love how this sparks ideas like that.
Shoe, I think, was it Khrushchev that pounded on the table?
Yes.
with the shoe?
Mm-hmm. United Nations
Yeah,
Conference.
yeah.
like a picture of that. That'd be cool.
I have a lot of your coins, medallions. I'm trying to do something that Ralph would do. I haven't done it yet, though. But he's inspiring me to make this piece.
Yeah, you got to get on this.
It's only been a couple of years.
Don't wait.
Something this top would inspire me to do it.
So after this show is done, do you have another place that you're going to be putting this art? Because it is powerful, and it shouldn't just stay right here under your beds or in the closet. So what is the next
Well, the
place?
problem with this type of art, it's not commercial art. So it's hard to find a place where you can display this sort of thing.
How about the public library?
Well, there are public places. Yes. So, for example, I had my work displayed 2 months ago at the Springfield Library in the City Hall Gallery.
Yeah.
So but it's just nothing for commercial galleries. That's what I want to say. Unfortunately,
So we had another show a year ago called The War on Humanity. So this is a recurring theme for us doing work.
yes, and 2 years ago we had the Bread and Circuses
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
I saw them all, yeah. Those are all good shows. Yeah.
So I said, we'll try to find some place.
Also good places, maybe like community colleges, that sort of
Right,
thing.
yeah, maybe.
Just public places, as you say.
And we have that Crossroads piece that'll be up again next month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where is that going to be?
Here.
Oh, okay, here.
It'll be kind of an adjunct to the featured artist wall. Because I'll have a regular art piece will be there as well. And it's on climate chaos and militarism and war.
It's about mankind at
Yeah.
crossroads,
Yeah.
basically.
All of us at the crossroads, do we have a future or are we headed towards extinction.
I'm wondering, does Campbell Center have a place they show art? You know, Campbell Senior Center?
They have a little gallery there.
Do they?
Yes, they do.
I don't think that's on our list.
No,
Something
that's new
like
to me,
that.
really.
Yeah, there is
Something like this show might be really interesting there.
Yeah, it's true.
That's good thinking.
And you know that Commerce Center on Broadway is another possibility.
How about City
Did you
Hall?
mention that before?
City Hall Gallery.
Well,
Try City Hall?
they have a new city hall, I hear, and they're gonna have a gallery there.
Yeah,
That's why.
because they take art.
Yeah, they're moved to where the old E-Web building was on the river there.
Have you been over there?
I've been to the E-Web building in a meeting, I went to a meeting there.
And they do have the gallery open.
Well, the city bought it,
'Cause they're
and
on
E-Web
there.
moved out to
Okay.
Roosevelt. And I've heard, that's just rumor.
I think they're still transitioning into that building, so it's not really up yet.
Okay.
But they are planning another Mayor's Art Show, which will be on display in the City Hall, so it's definitely a plan having a gallery there.
I think any place like that that's really public
Mhm.
would be good for the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would like
Especially
to
public
do it.
places I like, because you find people there looking at your work that usually don't go to galleries, you know. And
Yeah,
that's
that's the
those,
nice
those are
part
the
about it.
people I really want to reach.
Yes.
Not those art lovers with big checkbooks and big education and things.
Yeah.
Or near the university, that would be good. A
Yeah,
space there.
totally.
They have multiple galleries. I didn't even know this. I was there the other day posting flyers for the show. And one woman there with a student, she was in the graphics department, and they had a gallery right there
Oh,
with
the art
graphics.
department?
Yeah. I said, well, how many galleries do you guys have here? And she goes, 3 or 4.
And there's one at the
And they-
law library too.
Oh,
Law
really?
library has
Oh.
nice shows.
Is it just for
I'd like kind of
students?
need to do this show at the law library.
Because I don't think they advertise that they do have shows.
They do.
I was going, why did you guys advertise?
You never seen it in Cola Artists?
I know.
It's a good space.
Yeah, the law.
Yeah.
They had one for, like, when I went to school there years ago, they had one of the galleries just for the Bachelor of Fine Arts students. And so they do their show. there.
Yeah.
It was pretty much exclusively
Thesis shows or
school-oriented.
master shows. That'd be galleries to get on the list.
Yeah. It's kind of like with Crossroads, we had that, like, went nonstop for like 2.5 years showing,
Yeah, almost 2.5 years non-stop.
yeah, in
Wow.
different places.
Cool.
So it's gonna come out of hibernation.
Yes.
Where is it right now?
That's a good
In the
question.
warehouse? No, it's safe. It's in my shop, it's covered with a tarp, but, you know, we do have to take a look, and if we're gonna store more art there, we gotta figure out how to make sure
It might need some
It's-
touch-ups, yes.
good condition, you know. If you guys have rotating shows, you know, we should establish a really sound place to store it, you know.
Yeah, I just wish the city would get together a program for pop-up shows in vacant storefronts, you know?
Well, that's a great idea.
I wrote the new director at the time, about 2018 or 2019, proposing that, you know, is to coordinate landlords that had unoccupied storefronts in the downtown area to allow artists to go in there for a month and have a show. And if the city sponsored it and then, you know, got viability for insurance, then we would be able to do this fairly easily. So I never heard back from them.
They did that in Seattle.
the city
for a
took
number
your
of years
Did they?
when I lived there.
Wow,
They don't wanna pay for the insurance.
awesome.
Yeah, the city took that idea during COVID and did some pop-ups, like the Mayor's Art Show was a pop-up thing that year.
Okay.
And
Where-
just
where
in
did you-
storefronts.
Yeah, I was part of a storefront.
Yeah.
Oh, it's okay.
I was-
So,
Yeah.
and
Well, the storefronts are
Asian
good, but-
celebration also.
I'm talking, you know, traditional gallery, you know,
Yeah.
that with
I
somebody
see.
sitting there
Oh.
and a full show, And you can buy art, you know, you can buy supplemental stuff, and just a month, and then you're in and out, you know. That would give you much more public access to arts in having shows like that.
It would be good for the downtown.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
First
that's the thing.
Fridays.
If you could promote it
You know,
as
and there's
economic
no-
development or something.
There's no First Friday walk-arounds anymore, so they're not really leaving people around like they used to, you know? When our 7th Street space, I remember seeing like 500 people
On Broadway.
inside.
when it was
Oh,
on-
Broadway, yeah, that
When
was,
Muzo was on
yeah,
Broadway, that's
yeah.
when we first came into town.
I never was there, but I
And,
did visit there.
Crowds used to.
Good traffic,
like
good
those.
attendance, it was great.
That was so ideally located.
Right, down there, it's gotta be down in the center, and you know, in that walkable traffic area. This gallery's kind of on the fringe. But there are storefronts, you know, and go empty for a long time.
Yeah, actually, I called 3 or 4 of them, those places that are empty, and it all goes through realtors, and none of them wants to mess with it.
Yeah. Insurance is a problem.
Yeah.
You know.
Just
You gotta mess
additional
with it.
work on them, and they
But
don't benefit.
If the city stepped in and made guarantees, you know, I mean, that would be powerful.
The old storefront, Joe, that I was in, and I think Patricia must have been, was really organized. And it was in businesses, like I had one at Mimo's in Springfield, and then in that medical place on the corner, I think it was Broadway and something. It was a medical business. And they did stuff, but there was a business, there was a regular business that would give you their storefront for a month. It was nice. But there is something still going on, because I think it's on our list. Storefront. Unless it's stopped.
Well, the window art is still going, right? They still have window.
Window art. In the
Yeah.
windows. Okay, that's it. Yeah, I call it storefront. Maybe they called it that then.
Another question. Are there any artists like yourselves that are writing about creating art about the times? Are there activists?
There are a few in the gallery, but not as many as I remember when it was over on Broadway. I recall a lot of political art there when I first went in. And I haven't seen a lot here. There was more earlier, but now it seems to just like have dwindled off. But I mean, I gotta make political art. You gotta do it. I mean, until things are
Well, I think
working.
you're in the right place, because I think it's going to be a big revival of it now.
Yeah. I think like Christy Brunson did some sculptural pieces dealing with
Oh, right.
Jeff and others, and Glenn Jones did quite a few other pieces. Yeah, there's been different artists, you know, touching on these issues. And you guys and I tend to just, it's like a way to get, it's therapy, because I just get so upset with what's going on. And start seeing, dreaming these visions, and they have to become paintings.
Do they ever cross over, like being anti-Semitic, where you feel like people might interpret it like that, and that might be holding people back from expressing that in art?
Well,
I mean, it may not be, but it might.
Well,
Yeah,
people
that's-
interpret it that way,
that's
you know,
right.
they're doing that.
That's right.
Because, you know, from my point of view, I'm totally, you know, I just don't believe in inferiorities or
Right.
weirdnesses between peoples, you know, human beings are human beings.
Anti-Zionism is completely different than anti-Semitic. You're against
Right,
the Israeli
right, that's
government
a
and what they're
political-
doing. I think we can do
Zionists
it.
are political.
Judaism.
Yeah.
Yeah, both sides are Semitic, so yeah, it doesn't make sense.
No.
When you support Gaza, you're, yeah.
Well, it seems like war is a big theme, but it's not really. I mean, art, you think of beauty and artistic landscapes, etc. But it seems like art could be a theme, and it's the war theme,
Well,
the
for me-
capitals, the competition, the alienations, that kind of a gallery seems possible. Because it's all around, it's right there. People could interpret it quicker if the art were there.
A lot of the art world is blocking work that's direct, and not obscurely like going at an issue from, like this long, wide circle. If you come at it directly, that's just political art, that's not really art, But I think that's been contradicted quite a bit, so. But there is a split, half of them think, political work is not art. For me, art is just communication, it's visual communication. And no matter what you're doing, some is better than others, and some it's more aesthetic than others, or more evolved, more sophisticated. Advertising is just junk communication. It's propaganda, pure propaganda. But art should be aside from all of that. And you want to be open so that people can interpret what they see for themselves.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I don't want to tell people what to think. I just want them that they think. Any additional questions?
Yes, anybody?
I like that
Anybody know the
idea.
gallery where we can have another show?
Right.
I have my homeless man I'd like to pull back out.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's a good one, yeah.
I was actually
And that's
put it in
direct.
this show.
That's direct. And then I had
Would have been a fitting addition, really, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
I had little pop art garbage that's on the floor. Plus, it's on the floor. It breaks the rules, the traditional rules of exhibition. It's on the floor. There's trash. Art that's trash. And then there's the homeless man. And I sent this in to Corvallis, or the art center there, for one of their biennial shows. No go. It's just too direct. The art world is really the people that run it. Disappointed in
Yeah, I have a body of works that revolves around the child labor and other labor issues, about 50 pieces or so. Never had any luck with places like you just said, but with community colleges. I have a big show at the Roseburg Community College where they show the entire thing. That's the place to go with this type of art.
Where is that college?
Roseburg,
Roseburg.
Umpqua Community College.
Oh,
How about LCC, do they do changing shows other than their own department?
They have new shows every 3 months.
From outside, people outside the school?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They actually had a call to artists I responded to.
Did you ever approach them with this show?
No, I just learned about it 2 months ago and I was selected, so
Okay, well,
yeah. Now the contact is
time to
made.
do it.
You should have those in the economics department, and then you should have those in the social sciences department.
Yeah.
Maybe military theory or something, I don't know, but if you think about it, dress up some of the classrooms in the hallways leading to these departments.
So Lane City College, I remember.
That would be good for us, yes.
So we never.
They had to change in personnel and all that, so I lost contact, but I want to re-establish that. That would be good.
Yeah, junior college is perfect.
And a while ago, we had Liberation in the courthouse, which I thought was an appropriate place for things on freedom and imprisonment.
That was perfect. Yeah.
Definitely.
That and the irreconcilable piece on slavery that Sylvia was also in. Yeah, so.
Oh, my son has a painting in the show or drawing in the show at the airport.
Cool.
Like Anthony Sims, part of, and that's Steve's page. Steve's private collection.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah, Anthony, he wanted to be at the jazz musician. Did you hang that show?
No.
So he must have done it.
Steve did that.
Steve did that.
It's his show.
Yeah, it's very nice. I was out there at Discover. He's got some nice pieces there.
Is it still up?
It was, yeah, I was just out there last week, twice, and it's still up.
It might be till end of the year. They usually have
is it?
January through March and so on.
Yeah.
Yeah, the New Zone's got an airport one coming up, right?
That's upstairs.
Oh, different place.
And I think in airports, they don't want you to do political stuff, if I remember correctly. Maybe the rules have
Oh
changed.
yeah, but I had two of my pieces rejected by the airport. Yes.
Yeah, the only thing that I've ever seen in an airport that was maybe made you really think is an indigenous show in, I'm thinking, in Atlanta, and it had to do with the land being stolen from the indigenous people. And that was pretty, I was totally blown away because that was the first time I've ever seen anything like that. So that being addressed as definitely political in the airport.
Yeah, the Eugene Natural History Museum has that indigenous show as well about the land being stolen. There's some good pieces in there in the museum.
San Francisco Airport has one of those too. It's just down there.
One of the things that's happening that I think a lot of the times we forget about, it's like Gaza and all these places that are being bombed all over in Syria. And there's artists there who are losing their whole studios and tons of work. It's interesting to do an online search for artists in those regions. You can see some of what's been destroyed already and some of what people are dealing with. Because I keep thinking it'd be really neat to see some organization help put together a show from all these bombed places and put it around the world. And just, give those artists some voice, some support.
Yeah.
Boy, what a
Yeah,
project that would
the
be.
graffiti in Palestine is really, very beautiful. And it's everywhere.
I have one question, one more. I was thinking about how art is just visual right now.
How hard what?
Is visual, but it could also be other senses, like the smell of sulfur, when you're looking at that one there. The sound of the city.
Oh, sound, yeah. A little more sensory.
A little bit more sensory, and
Well, that's an environment, so, an installation of an environment, that would be super powerful.
yeah.
That's a big project. That's a total project. I mean, I love to do, my preference is to do installation art. And if I had the opportunity to do something like that, I would absolutely do it. And with a complete environment.
Yeah, that's something I can see at the Schnitzer, for example. Yeah. And that
Another thing
environment.
would be those drones that are flying around that I hear about.
Get little mini drones running around the top of the people's heads,
Yeah, we did that with music at Emerald Arts Center with Crossroads, where we had the Crossroads piece up, and Sylvia and I did our music with a lot of the issues in the songs while that show was up.
Yeah, that is close to this idea, really.
Yeah.
It's just not as a permanent display, but a
Right,
performance.
It was just a performance for the opening night.
I suppose you could do an installation in the Klausmeyer room to create an environment in this room.
I mean, yeah, you could.
We gotta get the members talking about it first, and you are.
Yeah, the acoustics here are just rather atrocious in this gallery. It's just too much concrete
Right.
And the
sound.
lighting.
Yeah, and the lighting's
Lighting.
not great. But yeah, the acoustics, I wouldn't
Get
want to play
nice-
the music here.
5,000 K spots and industrial carpet on the floor and more walls and white ones instead of like these carpeted things.
Maybe a
That's
door.
very distracting, the carpeting.
Oh, I know, it looks like crap. Lighting especially is really bad.
Oh, yeah, and it's
Here,
it's too.
it's really sad, you know?
These are like 3,000 K or whatever.
It's just,
You know, that's too
It's
more.
really, people would want to buy stuff like this.
You gotta photograph them and, it's not doing it.
The other piece we talked about, a while ago, was you guys put together a book on what this show
Oh,
and
yeah.
other shows, the Pan Am Circus is one, and all the
Yeah.
different other ones. It would make a great book to all put together.
Yeah.
No, that's a really natural thing, is to make a book out of it.
We got plenty of work to do that, that's for sure. Yeah, I would need a year and a big place to work to do that kind of show.
An exhibition?
Yeah. Or we could do it in installation.
Yeah.
But they need,
We need
this
a
is
museum, Lane County
a
Art
major,
Museum, that would do things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
real nice, big, open, white space to occupy.
How big would it have to be?
Huh?
How big?
At least twice this size.
Couldn't have like a giant tent or something.
Now, it needs to be transparent, so you don't see the space.
Oh,
You
right,
see
right.
what's in the space. So it's just,
Well, thank you all for coming.
Yes,
appreciate it.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for all the
thanks for
great
the
work you do.
documentation. by
Yeah,
our
thanks
friends
John
here.
and Hedda.
Yeah.
Much appreciated.
Yeah.
Take care.